expect him to actually do it with 2 seconds left on the clock.
The best part was my son was right in position to rule on that, and you got a great picture of it.
Yeah.
He was right on the back line where he was supposed to be, so that was good. Okay, everybody ready? Apparently so. All right, thanks for coming down today. With me are Chief Brian Ross of the Burton Police Department and Superintendent John Plouffe of the Atherton Schools. So we appreciate you coming down. Let me first announce that my office has charged a music and band teacher at the Atherton Schools with some very, very serious crimes. The defendant's name is Jerry Lee Cutting, C-U-T-T-I-N-G. He's 54 years old. He resides in Leyton Township. He's charged with 6 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree based upon sexual relations he had with a student of his, a 14-year-old girl who attends Atherton High School. Let me read you the count so you understand what it is we're charging here. We charge that Mr. Cutting did engage in sexual penetration, to wit, penile vaginal, with a child who was at least 13 but less than 16 years of age, and the defendant was a teacher, substitute teacher, or administrator of the school district, or intermediate school district where the victim was enrolled, contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.520B1B. This is a Tier 3 offense under the Sex Offender Registration Act, and it's punishable by up to life in prison, mandatory lifetime electronic monitoring, and the court may impose a consecutive sentence if it wishes under state law. I read that to you because Michigan law has made it clear that the teacher-student relationship is a sacred one, and anybody who takes advantage of it is violating a law which the legislators and governor have determined to be a very serious crime. Therefore, 6 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. The police learned of this last Thursday, October 20th. The principal at the high school told Burton Police Department that she was advised by the school's dean of students that 3 students had information that defendant Cutting was in a sexual relationship with the 14-year-old victim. Our understanding is that this began on the last day of the 2021-2022 school year, when our victim was still basically in the 8th grade. She's now advanced to the 9th grade. The investigation by Burton Police has found text messages that corroborate the allegations. There are witnesses other than the 3 students that came forward who confirm that defendant Cutting spent an inordinate amount of time with this 14-year-old student. The Burton Police Department, as a result of this information, executed a search warrant on defendant Cutting's house in Leyton Township. Physical evidence was seized, including bed sheets and a laptop computer. Also taken from the school, Burton Police obtained a couch cushion, a computer, and a thumb drive. All of the physical evidence is being sent to the Michigan State Police Crime Lab for further investigation. We are also seeking items we believe exist on various social media platforms that we believe will further corroborate the allegations that we're making today against this individual. Why did we execute search warrants on the house, and why did we seize items from the school? Because we believe that among these 6 counts that we've charged, at least 1 occurred at the high school. We believe at least 1 or more occurred at defendant Cutting's house in Clayton Township, and we believe there are also incidents that occurred at various hotels around the Genesee County area. One other thing to note is that Mr. Cutting has been a teacher at the Atherton schools for approximately 30 years. In addition to his work as a music and teacher and band director, he teaches band and choir at the elementary school and at the high school. He teaches as low as the 5th grade. He also was the basketball coach of the 7th and 8th grade girls and the junior varsity, and he's also been the softball coach of the 7th and 8th graders at the school. It gives me no joy to make this announcement, to tell you about this, but I think the community needs to know. I know that Superintendent Plouffe wants transparency. I know Chief Ross wants the community to know that his department did a thorough investigation of this once these allegations were made and the young people came forward. In addition to really doing a number on this little girl, this man also had a wife of 30 years, and based upon what I read in the police report, she's devastated. So this is a tough day to have to make these kind of allegations, but we think certainly we have probable cause evidence. He's innocent until proven guilty. It's my obligation to try to prove this case in a court beyond a reasonable doubt, but obviously I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't think we could do that. So based on that, that's what I have for you. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
30 years, do you believe there could be any other potential victims?
That's something that Chief Ross and I have discussed over the last few days. It's possible. I hope not, but it's possible. If there are victims watching or reading or listening, we would ask that they call the Burton Police Department.
You mentioned that 3 students came together and let the principal know that this is what they heard or what they knew. My first question is, this is a pretty quick turnaround if we're talking about 4 days ago. These allegations were reported. How were you able to move so quickly through the investigation to lead to an arrest and arraignment?
Well, the 3 girls came to the dean of students at the school, who told the principal, who called the Burton Police, and then Burton Police did a stellar investigation. They got right on it, interviewed the 3 girls, interviewed the victim of the crime, talked to a number of other witnesses as well, working together with my office, obtained the search warrants, and executed them quickly. So we were all in on this because of the potential problems that exist, and certainly the superintendent wants his community to know that they've done everything they can to get to the bottom of this as quickly as possible.
What's this teacher's current employment status? Are they on leave, paid, unpaid?
The same day that these allegations were made, the superintendent put him on leave. Whether is he getting paid? It's paid leave. Yeah, it's paid leave, and I assume that's because he has a union contract, and that requires that. James?
Any indication that the victim was groomed by this teacher?
I would say that that's probably exactly what happened, because she had been spending an inordinate amount of time with him, and then at some point it turned into this sexual relationship.
What I meant by that, sorry, did he do things for her? Did he get her hair done? Did he give her presents? Anything like that?
We know that they spent a lot of time together, and I think the investigation, which is continuing, may turn up things like that. But like I say, a lot of the items are at the State Police Crime Lab right now, so we'll know after we get some of those reports back, among the things that we gathered.
Is this the first of any complaints that were made about this teacher in the past, or that you know of, Superintendent, or that anybody's aware of?
There had not been anything to suggest that there were any other crimes that he may have committed prior to this one.
When you say spend time together, this person's parents, the victim's parents, were they in the picture? Did they have any questions? Did they think that this was just a somebody who was a parapro or tutor or something, or what?
Victim lives with her dad. She has a mother also, obviously, and the mother is in the community, I believe. This individual may have, we believe, sold himself as a mentor to this young lady, and I think other people bought in as well and thought, okay, he's really helping her, and it turned out to be not so much. Does that answer your question?
When you're talking about 30 years, and this man was a teacher on your staff for 30 years, coached young girls in middle school, elementary school, choir, band, all of those things. How upsetting is it to find out something like this was potentially going on?
You're asking me? I'm appalled by this kind of a situation, and I'm concerned that maybe the other young girls were taken in by him as well, and that's why we were asking folks to call Burton Police. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. I hope this is an isolated incident. We don't have anything to suggest that it's anything other than an isolated incident. But, you know, I think about the victim and how in a difficult circumstance she is now, and I think about not this man himself, but I think about what he's done to his own family. This is a man with a wife of 30 years and grown adult children. That family's devastated as well.
She's obviously 2 years younger than the age of consent, I believe, 16, correct me if I'm wrong. But did she appear to be a willing participant?
When you are 14 years old, you cannot be a willing participant. Sir?
This gentleman bombed out, or what's the bond set at?
Yes, he was arraigned. The bond was set at $60,000 cash or surety plus a tether. Whether he's posted it or not, I'm not sure. I suspect he might. He was arraigned in front of Judge Marable earlier today.
Is the superintendent taking any questions?
Depends on the question.
Well, there are people claiming to be parents on social media who are alleging that the district has tried to cover this up. There have been other issues with other faculty members in Atherton in the past, and they say this is just another example of the school district trying to cover this up. Any comment on that? If you do have comment, you step up to the mic too.
Well, let me first comment that I specifically asked the superintendent not to say anything once we got involved, which was, I believe, Friday, because I didn't want to compromise the investigation. I wanted Chief Ross and his people to be able to do what I need them to do to gather the evidence. So any suggestion that the school district and the superintendent tried to cover anything up with respect to this incident is totally not true, because if anything, they wanted to put out a statement and I asked them not to for the time being so that we could get the investigation done. If you want to comment beyond that. That's good?
Yeah.
Jake.
Superintendent, did you have anything you wanted to state for the school district's sake as a comment publicly now, regardless of?
If you want to read your statement, that's good.
First of all, I think that we're all very disappointed as a staff, as a community, by the actions of the individual. And, you know, at this point, we're moving forward, working with the police department and the prosecutor's office to see this through.
There's a board meeting tonight, correct, at 6:30?
That's correct.
Yeah, any thoughts on that tonight? I imagine there may be a pretty significant turnout for that board meeting, given these developments.
I believe that there probably will be, yes.
Plan on saying anything at that board meeting to those parents and stuff like that?
I think that's an opportunity for the parents to speak to us.
Does the school district have a policy of teachers mentoring students for an unusual amount of time after school?
I think that our staff members try to support their students. Right now, we're in a very difficult time post-pandemic, and, trying to meet social emotional needs as well. Obviously, somebody is taking that much, much too far in trying to, support their student and taking advantage of that.
How is the rest of the faculty taking this? You're talking about a 30-year teacher here. I mean, how's everybody else at the school dealing with this?
Our staff is devastated right now. They're devastated for the victim. They're just devastated for the impact that it has on us as a small school system in a community. Right now we're all kind of reeling a little bit.
Now, this all came to light because 3 students were kind of brave enough to go seek out either a counselor or the principal to let them know what happened. How important are those relationships to be able to find this information out?
It's so important, and we commend the student that came forward. That takes a lot of courage for students to do something like that, but in an instance like this, it's significant event that propels things forward and allows us to dig deeper into the situation and work on what we're working on right now.
Will there be counseling available for students, because something like this impacts so many people? Yes, we discussed that this morning prior to school starting, and our counselors, our social workers, support staff are there to work with the kids through this.
One last thing for me. I know David had touched on it, but the reason why he's on paid leave right now, if you could go into detail as to why he's on paid leave versus something else.
It's employability contracts.
Just for anybody out there who might not understand that.
That there are due process that each employee has to be given when facing disciplinary action. So that's where we are right now with that.
Has the victim been forthcoming with information or reluctant, or?
Understand this is a 14-year-old girl, and she's doing the very best she can, and she has assisted us to get to where we are today, but she's struggling. She's having a tough time.
Chief, I got one for you. If you can answer this, and maybe David are talking about this too. What time was he taken into custody? How was he taken into custody? I've heard sometimes these things happen in the very early morning hours and stuff like that. Can you just give us some details into the arrest?
Yeah, once we were working on gathering as much evidence as possible, getting the probable cause to make arrests and get search warrants and things like that, we garnered enough information to get a search warrant. And whenever we went to that search warrant, to his house to conduct the search warrant, we met with him and took him into custody at that time.
Were you there?
No.
Okay.
How important is it to work so quickly? I mean, you guys, that's pretty quick speed for something like that. It involves so many different other institutions. How important is it to work quickly on this?
So you got to work quickly but diligently and make sure that you're not skipping over things, missing things. So we have a great staff, good investigators, working with the prosecutor's office to figure out what all information we need. You have to work quickly because there's evidence that could be lost, destroyed. You also have to protect victims. So getting out there quickly and effectively is very, very key.
Just to be clear, this teacher worked at multiple schools within the district. I know the high school, elementary as well, middle school.
They're together.
We have a K-6 and a 7
Oh, okay,
building.
okay, I'm
Two
sorry.
buildings.
And then as a coach as well. Okay, thank you.
You have a mugshot?
We do.
Yep. We'll give it to you afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, we good?
What's the most disturbing thing about this case, Prosecutor Leyton? We've seen similar cases like this in the past. This is the most disturbing?
Well, I think the most disturbing thing is that this was a teacher and a student. I mean, this man preyed on a 14-year-old student. You send your kids to school, you don't expect them to have to endure this kind of a situation. And there's just no excuse for it. A 53-year-old man needs to know better, period. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate you covering it.